I was watching the Travellers Championship this weekend, and it just got me thinking, where is professional golf at? The viewing experience is maybe the worst it's ever been, and really outside of the Masters and the Ryder Cup, I don't think I actually genuinely care who wins, who comes second, who comes in the top 10, how that affects their FedEx rank points. I don't actually care about that outside of those two events, and that's worrying. Welcome to another episode of the Birdie Golf Club Podcast. We're going to dive into that subject today.
This is the Birdie Golf Club Podcast.
Bit of a downbeat start to the episode, really, isn't it? It's just me this week, and I thought I really wanted to dive into that thought that I had last night. I was watching the Travellers, and obviously it should have been a really exciting finish with Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler battling it out. It going to a playoff today, and then in the end, Victor ended up winning. But as I was watching it, I just got this feeling come over me of none of this matters, and that's not right, is it? That's an elevated event. That should mean something, but it didn't. And I don't think I'm alone in feeling that either. I feel like there's a lot of people out there. And then I expanded that thought to, okay, what events do I really care about? And we've obviously got the Open coming up at Royal Birkdale, and I hope it really delivers as a championship. And the majors are elevated. And I mean, other than the players, and that only really works if there's like a stacked leaderboard at the end of it, other than the players, I'm not sure there's any PGA Tour events, whether they're the elevated events or regular event, that I care about. Elevated events probably even less so because of the no cut. Thank goodness that's going to go soon. But then when I think about even the Open, the last few years hasn't really captured my attention. PGA, we know that struggles from an identity crisis, and although it's had some really good finishes and stacked leaderboards, again, I don't get that feeling come over me. The US Open, I don't think it really delivered that much this year. I think it wasn't quite brutal enough, and it just, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe if you're watching this, listening to this, I'd really love to hear your thoughts and what events really mean something to you. And I don't just mean something because they're a major or because they're an elevated event or because they're at such and such golf course. What makes them special? Now, the Ryder Cup delivers because it's a one-off kind of event in golf. You know, doesn't happen every single year. The players play in formats you don't normally get to see them play. They're working together, team golf, dare I say. And it captures everyone's imagination, and it does deliver pretty much every single time, unless you get a complete blowout. But even then, they're interesting, right? Because you think, right, how are they going to react next time? And there's a narrative, there's a storyline to them. The Masters delivers every single year because it's in the unique position that it's at the same golf course and that it's extremely just held to such high esteem. And it's got this tradition. It's just really, really special. And that sort of sets it apart. And I genuinely care every year about tuning in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The other events, and I've felt this because I've felt this pressure with the podcast to keep up with what's going on in the golfing world. And that's right. I've got a duty to the listeners to keep up with what's happening. And I found it really difficult to care. Like I really have found it difficult to care. And that's not right. That's not sustainable. You've got all these people coming into golf, and I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same as I do. That outside of maybe one or two events a year, I couldn't care less. Really. You know, this weekend didn't do it for me. And it's going to be good seeing the players come over here. There's that sort of almost novelty-esque factor to it of seeing them come over to the UK and play their golf. And the Scottish is actually a pretty cool event because you get to see them battle in the elements or playing recognisable golf course over here. And that has its own prestige to it, and it's special. But then the Open, again, I hope it delivers at Royal Birkdale. I hope it's a brilliant Open. I hope it captures everyone's imagination. But I do feel like it's got to be pretty special to do that. And I'm not sure that's right. Related to other sports, okay, this World Cup's been quite a difficult viewing experience over here in the UK because of the time difference. But there's storylines, there's narratives. Cape Verde making it through, just amazing storylines. You're watching the big teams grow in the competition, and it's gonna, now we get to the knockout stages, things are just gonna happen. Brazil, Japan's happening right now. I still don't know who's won that game. And that builds, and the attention towards it builds, and every game matters. I would equate the PGA Tour season to the group stage of this World Cup. And when I say group stage, I mean like the second game, where it just really didn't matter. The teams that won in the first game, they're probably going through. 3 points may be enough, 4 points definitely enough. And it just feels like that. It just feels like it just rolls along. Scotty's got a pretty insurmountable lead at the number one. FedEx Cup is probably going to win that. And then even when it comes to the majors, unless a very specific storyline happens, Scotty winning and becoming a career Grand Slam. And, if he did that at the US Open, then it's interesting. But outside of that, outside of the major things happening that are history defining, I don't think it's engaging enough. So now we come to the answer. How does that change? Well, I actually think that Brian Rolapp has done a brilliant job with identifying the issue, which is, let's face it, no one cares, outside of a very few select events, and creating a narrative driven storyline that can run year on year on year. And he's done that by not listening, hopefully, too much to the players. Because the players, let's face it, we've learned through the live stuff that, Cam Smith said, look, it was a good ride whilst we did it. Of course, we were going to do it. Now it's back to reality. If players get to decide what's good for the game, live happens. Huge price purses, not that interesting, but they all make a lot of money and get to sail off into the sunset. And the PGA Tour had to match that model for a little bit just to keep the players there. So let's not create heroes and villains in this scenario. They're all out for themselves, and rightly so. Their careers aren't short per se, but who knows what could happen. They could lose form, go away. They want to secure the purse and make sure that they've got wealth for their family, generational wealth and everything like that. That's what drives a lot of these players. And then if they're not driven by that, it's because they've already achieved that. So let's squash any idea that they care about the viewing experience. So I think what Brian Rolapp's done really well is he's listened to the players, and he might have taken a few bits from what they've said, but he's looked at it and gone, right, how do we create a sport, that's what golf is, a sport that keeps you on your seat week after week from Thursday through to Sunday. Now, he's probably completely realistic about that and realizes that Thursday, you're going to have less viewership. Friday, it will peak a little bit towards cut line. That's why he's reintroduced the cut line, because that's interesting. Like, that in itself is a storyline. You get rid of a cut line, you lose a whole piece of a storyline. It was an insane decision driven by greed. So there's that. Cut line, bring it back. Excellent decision. Well done, Brian. And then Saturday and Sunday is going to increase as we get towards the eventual winner. Now, that's great. Now, big weekends, big winners, you're going to get that flow. But on other weekends, when people are suffering from burnout because there's too much golf, which is a thing, especially when it's a solo sport, it's not a team sport, you don't have team dynamics going on, which makes things interesting in other sports. He then sort of looked at that and gone, okay, well, it's going to have to be some type of almost two-division league format. That's interesting. Players dropping in and out of one and into the other. And it all building towards something. Now, not towards something that is just the same again, but towards something that's going to really define that year. Because that's what we should be doing. If we're looking at golf, looking at the broader landscape, the year should be building towards a crescendo, not just another stroke play event. And that's what obviously the FedEx Cup became for a bit. It's just another stroke play event. Not interesting, especially if you give a guy an unsurmountable lead going into it. It's insane. Again, it was driven by players, and we're moving away from that. So I think, honestly, it's a tip your cap. Well done, Brian Rolapp. You've identified the issue and you're sorting it. Will it deliver? I think it will. I hope it does. Does that change the Open, the PGA, and the US Open for me? Now, I might be completely alone in that, and some of you might be listening and thinking, Dave's really wrong this week. Like US Open, PGA, and the Open deliver for me, and that's wonderful. I hope they do deliver for you, and I hope they're brilliant tournaments. But that's what I want. I want to watch amazing storylines and to feel part of it and everything like that. And hopefully that happens. How does that change? I don't know. I honestly have no idea how that changes. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think golf's never been in a better place on the amateur side of things. I think more and more people are falling in love with this game, getting obsessed with this game, obsessed with it, Strixon. Out there walking the course, Painter Golf, couple of sponsors. You may have already seen from the wonderful display behind me that I have partnered with Painter as the official footwear sponsor of the Birdie Golf Club podcast, and I am so happy to have done that. Painter golf shoes are incredibly comfortable, first and foremost. Take it from me, I am fussy, and I've got funny feet as well. And the Painter golf shoes fit me perfectly and are extremely comfortable, but also they are just full of tech to be able to empower you to play the best golf possible. Painter believe in walking the course, and as somebody that enjoys conversations, enjoys the environment of golf, walking the course is the best way to do that, and you get to fully experience golf as it was intended. You can't do that if you're not in comfortable footwear. Painter are giving you the ability to do that week in, week out, round in, round out. So head over to paintergolf.co.uk and make sure to use the code Birdie Golf Club Podcast, and that will get you 15% off these selected collections. And they're one of the best collections available anyway. Speed Classic, the Jason Day inspired and helped create golf shoe. The Sport Classic and the Reserve Classic, inspired and helped by Min Woo Lee. Head over to paintergolf.co.uk, get yourself the best golf shoes in the game and look incredible whilst you do it so you can go on and walk the course. I am very much just like you that are listening and always searching for something to help me and my game. I've tried a lot of different training aids. Some are good, some are just gimmicks, but the best one that I've tried so far is without a doubt Strike Wedge. Strike Wedge enables me to be able to make sure that I'm making great contact with great feedback with or without a golf ball there. That's what's special about it. It can help with your chipping, with your iron play, even with driver if set in front of the golf ball. And low point is the thing that we all want to do better in this game. It's something that we can all do, no matter what our swings look like. Low point we can all control, and Strike Wedge really does help with that. You get this fantastic bit of kit along with the side ramps, which I've named them. That's definitely not their technical name, which can really help if you're a toe striker, heel striker, changing that path and making you a better golfer as well. So you can click the link in the description and you can get yourself a Strike Wedge, and when you do, you will also get some money off if using the link below, and it also helps out the podcast as well, so you get to feel good for it. So thank you. Anyway, back to the episode. And just more and more coming into it, we're seeing different styles, different fashions, different ways of coaching, new ideas, new technology. All these things are just happening right now in golf, and it's fantastic. But I feel like the professional side of the game is actually letting everyone down, because what we're seeing is just huge wealth being accumulated, which is wonderful for those guys. Again, absolutely no issue with that. Like, fair play, you've put yourself in a position to do it. You're unbelievable at what you do, and you're getting paid the entire bank for it. So well done. But it's not sustainable, I don't think. I think it's a real issue. I'm happy with what the PGA Tour have done. I think this league format almost is going to be great. I don't think the players necessarily like it that much, especially the ones top 5, top 10. For them, it's like, okay, let's make sure that I secure my place at the top of the table, which is what they care about. So I think a few things happened that seemed to work in the favour of Brian Rolapp being able to do whatever he wanted to do. The Live News, the fact that that Piff is pulling out of that gave him a solid base to go, I'm going to be all right here. I can make some big calls and players aren't going anywhere. Live's dead. It's going to be dead. They're going to come back, blah, blah, blah. So that worked out really well for when it came to this decision. But nonetheless, it still was a big decision to make. He could have just gone, I want to be mates with these guys. We're going to increase the elevated events. We're going to increase the prize purses. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it all just builds towards, again, a product no one really cares about except for the guys that are making all the money. And I think golf's in a unique position where it's going to have always these big investment companies, JP Morgans and stuff like that. Your big business companies are always probably going to invest in golf because it has that allure to it. It gets them in the right rooms with the right people. And in that way, they're relatively secure with their sponsorships. But if you're bringing in a whole new generation of golfers, they're going to want to see stuff that's relatable to them as well. Otherwise, golf finds itself in a place where it probably did pre-Tiger, which is outdated, not that interesting. Now, probably never going to get another Tiger Woods. I mean, what are the chances of having somebody that incredible at golf, that defining for an era of golfers, just completely surpassed the world of golf and just pushed into all other walks of life? That's probably not going to happen again. So what you need to do is secure a really, really good product. And I think that can only be done with implementing the changes that have been made. Bring back cuts, bring back that storyline, bring back other storylines, or even better, put into place other storylines through formatting. And I think we're getting to that place. So is legacy enough? You know, when there was a lot of talk about Live and players wanting to stay on the PGA Tour as well, one of the big sort of factors that came into it, and it was made a bit of a laughing stock of, is, well, these guys want to secure their legacy. So as a viewer, let me ask you, as the people listening, do you care about legacy? And I don't mean career-defining legacy. I don't mean like Rory winning the Grand Slam, Scotty possibly getting it done next year, say at the US Open. Jordan Spieth still has an opportunity to do it as well, if he wins himself a PGA Championship. I mean legacy in the sense of someone winning 10 PGA Tour events. I mean, that's a legacy. 5 PGA Tour events could technically be classed as a legacy. That's an incredible achievement. It's hard to do week in, week out. But would you particularly take note of those people? For instance, if we're talking about the PGA Tour here, okay, excluding majors, because I feel like that might be a me issue. Again, let me know if it's not. Let me know if really you're only interested in a couple of in one major, as I am, and the Ryder Cup. Let me know. And maybe I'm completely off in that. But when we look at PGA Tour events and defining it as legacy, because that's what it should be, right? If you win a PGA Tour, it should be legacy. Now, I said 5 or more, okay, but I'm going to name some names that have won. Let's go with 10 or more, okay? Scotty Scheffler, 10 plus wins on the PGA Tour. Justin Thomas, 15. Jordan Spieth, 13. Rory McIlroy, 27. Dustin Johnson, 24. Phil Mickelson, 45. Byron Nelson, 52. Arnold Palmer, 62. Ben Hogan, 64. Jack Nicklaus, 73. Sam Snead, 82. Sam Snead, there might be some interesting stuff on that. And Tiger Woods, 82 as well. Now, I think we could all quite comfortably say that that's a legacy. Those players all have either retired or are going to be retiring one day, and you'll look back and go, wow, what a career. But if we go for players with, let's go 4 or more PGA Tour wins, okay? I've just got some names here. This might not be all of them. Gary Woodland, Webb Simpson, Kevin Kisner, Russell Henley, Charlie Hoffman, Jason Duffner, Matt Kuchar, Ricky Fowler. Is that legacy defining? What do you think? For me, no. Good career, but not legacy defining. And the way the PGA Tour is structured and the way these events are structured is that, to be honest, 4 or more, and some of those guys are on 7, 9, 6, surely that should be legacy defining, no? Like, it's hard to win a PGA Tour. Not many players do it. 4 or more should be legacy defining, but is legacy as important as what we're made to believe that it is? I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just that life gets busier, as it does for all of us. And, I'm in a relatively unique position that I get to talk about it. And it goes straight into all your ear holes every single week. And some of you care about what I say, and some of you don't, and that's absolutely fine. And I just don't have the time to fully take it in, maybe. And then it leads to me sort of almost feeling bad about it, and then watching it with a bit of like, I have to watch this. But that shouldn't be the case, should it? I love watching golf, but I love watching golf with storylines. And like we've discussed, I'm just not sure it's there week on week. I think the interesting thing is that my passion for playing golf has never been higher, but yet the passion for watching it has probably never been lower. And that's an interesting sort of juxtaposition, really, isn't it? Moving into my own golf, did I have an absolute roller coaster of a round on Friday. I played at Manning's Heath Golf Club, played the waterfall course. If you've ever played there before, it's a lovely golf course. I like to say it's a real thinking man's golf course, because, look, you can go around it kind of smashing driver, and if you hit driver perfectly, you're going to be in great shape. But generally, you would play it where you've got to hit different shots on different holes, irons off tees sometimes, things like that. And it was just beautiful. I mean, it was very hot. It was like 34 degrees, which was tough to play. I literally played at midday as well, which was a crazy decision from me. But my round was a real roller coaster. Started with a birdie. So, you can't birdie them all unless you birdie the first. And unbelievably, through that round, I had 6 birdies. I birdied a third of the golf holes. 6 out of 18. I've done the math. I've checked it a few times. That's a third. I've never had that many birdies in a round before. It was really nice. Putted unbelievably well. After I went and saw Simon run a golf over in Normandy, he gave me a little tip because we'd set up the putter perfectly for me. And he just gave me the little tip of basically moving my thumb position on the grip so that I didn't turn it over too much, didn't close the face too much, which has really helped eliminate my pull with the putter, which I'd often do. I'd pull it offline. And I just feel super, super confident with putting as well now. And then just before I actually went out for the round, because I got there a little bit early, I set up my putting alignment mirror. And I just noticed as I was sort of over the putt that I really leave this left shoulder wide open to target, like naturally with my setup position. And I was like, oh, well, that would be another reason why I pull putts as well. So the combination of the two, if I'm doing one or doing the other, and maybe I level them out a bit as I'm doing it. And so I just closed myself off a little bit, kept it in line with where I want the actual putt to go. And my putting was just fantastic. I think I had 30 putts, but no 3 putts. Plenty of 2s, a few 1s, and just played pretty solid on the greens. But my biggest downfall was off the tee. I was wayward at times. I made some really poor decisions on certain holes, like certain holes where I know they're not driver. I hit driver, and I don't know why. I think that was maybe the sun did that to me. And then other holes, I just sort of I got a bit unlucky. I mean, it was so hot, the ball was flying so far that I think a 1-9 iron that I hit went 180 yards, flew the green, straight into the woods, lost ball, penalty drop. I just had a few things like that where the ball just went really far, and it took me a little while to learn it and to pick up on it and to basically sort of add 15 yards onto every single club. Basically, that's kind of how it was playing. It was quite cool, actually, because the ball was flying really far. You felt really strong and powerful. But ended up shooting an 81. So I had 2 birdies on the front, but shot 43 on the front, and then had 4 birdies on the back and shot 38. So I basically, on each 9, had like a few blow-up holes. I think I had 2 7s, 3 7s and 2 6s in that round. So it was a real roller coaster, to be honest with you. But I take a lot of heart from the fact that I played a third of those holes pretty perfectly. And the rest of it I can tidy up, so games get into a great spot. And that's what I mean. I've never been so passionate about playing golf. I love it. I love getting better. And I should be able to watch professional golf and just get like almost a load of tips from how those guys play. And you can do that, but I just feel the viewing experience just doesn't encourage that, really. I feel like it's very same old, same old. The commentators say the same things every single week. And it just kind of loses that ability. Now, we obviously have the real joy as golfers now of having alternate sort of ways to watch and to consume golf videos. YouTube provides that. Like, it 100% provides that. The platform that many of you are watching this on right now provides, I think, golfers with the complete package of what they're actually looking for. You can find professional level golf, like PGA Tour level golf on YouTube with the creators that are on there. You can literally got Bryson DeChambeau, Tommy Fleetwood, 2 players that are actually on it. But then you've got, I mean, I just started watching, I'm going to carry on, it's 4 hours. The Your Golf Tour has just started, which was started by Grant Horvat and the Bryan Bros, along with Brad Dalkey. All elite golfers putting together an event, well, a series of events, a tour that you're going to be able to watch, and not just watch shot by shot coverage of select few players. You're going to watch the entire event, as well as all the backstage stuff, all the build up to it, the drafts, everything like that. Personality driven, story driven as well, like narratives being created and shown to you and not hidden away and then neatly wrapped up in a Netflix bow at the end of the year. You're getting to watch the entire thing, and you can learn from the decisions that players make out there. They're going to talk you through a lot of the golf shots. How does the PGA Tour keep up with that? And is it even bothered about trying to? I like to think yes now by the decision that Brian Rolapp's made ready for this next year. But it's going to be really interesting time, I think, because I care about that I'm itching to watch it. I'm not itching to watch. I don't even know what PGA Tour event is on this weekend. I'll find out. I'll have a look. I'd imagine it's going to be probably an off week as we get ready for the Scottish. So a lot of the players will be travelling, so it certainly won't be an elevated event, I wouldn't have thought, and it will be a bit of a nothing event. But I care about the Your Golf Tour. Like, sign me up for that. With the Internet Invitational, all right, different kind of thing. It's not elite golf, but when that comes around, that's going to be interesting to watch. That's going to all have us glued to it. And really thank goodness that all that stuff is there, because if it wasn't there, I think we'd be in a real sticky point of so many people coming into the game, loving their golf, but not really loving watching it week in, week out. It's almost like a complete opposite problem to what's happening with football. Football, there's so much of it to watch. You're getting more access to it to watch. People are still enjoying the games. I've got my own opinions on where football's gone as far as all the technology and stuff like that. But maybe actually you're seeing a decline in participation. Golf is completely different. You're seeing a huge increase in participation, but the viewerships probably aren't really showing that same level of increase because it's just not interesting enough week in, week out. And instead, you're seeing those viewers go over to YouTube. And I think that's pretty fascinating. But I guess as a little finishing point, maybe the best golf stories just aren't happening on our television every single weekend. Maybe they're happening at your local golf club. Maybe they're happening at your local municipal golf course, council run, like I've got at Seaford Head. Maybe there's stories there. Maybe there's stories there that completely surpass all the nonsense of how many times so-and-so has won X amount of millions of dollars. Maybe there's like someone who's in their 90s who still plays 3 times a week and still shoots incredible scores. What I would love in the comments, if I can, and I don't ask for this very often because I know I don't comment very often, so it's difficult, but I would love to hear in the comments, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, whatever platform you're on, what's a local story from where you are that just you would just love to tell? Maybe it could be someone you know, someone you're aware of. You don't have to include names, whatever it may be, but just a local hero, maybe an unsung hero, somebody who goes unnoticed, but somebody that you look at and go, that's what golf is. Like, that's what it's all about right there. You know, that person completely personifies what this sport is about, and that deserves that little bit of a spotlight on it. So I would love to hear in the comments. First, you know, please let me know what your thoughts are on golf at the moment, specifically televised golf. And these events, do they mean something to you? Am I missing it? Maybe you could give me some pointers on how I could reconnect with the PGA Tour and maybe the other majors that I've mentioned as well. And lastly, would love to hear about special golf stories from where you live. That would be great. Listen, I appreciate you all watching, listening every single week. I'm sorry it's just me this week. I did plan to have a guest on this week, but unfortunately he's had some family matters, which I always say, family first, no problem at all. Everyone's going to have to listen to me ramble this week. So thank you all for tuning in. If you're still here now, it's absolutely incredible. And it's just one of those things that also I don't do enough either. And I'm trying to make a bit of a commitment to make sure that the people I listen to regularly, watch regularly on YouTube, I hit that subscribe button. And it sounds like just hit that subscribe button, blah, 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 blah. But it genuinely makes a huge, huge difference. If I can fill you in, the YouTube partner program doesn't start until you hit 500 subscribers. And when it does, it's certainly not a monetized through YouTube thing. When you get to 1,000 subscribers, you qualify for their full partner rewards, basically. And it enables you to be able to earn money off of making content. And it's not vast sums of money, but it's something, and it helps. You know, I do this podcast every single week. I love it. But would it help if it paid a few bills along the way, or at least its own bills? Yes, it would. So if I could get to 1,000 subscribers, it would be huge. I think we're at 202 right now. If we can get to 1,000, I'm dancing. I'll dance on this podcast if I hit that. There's your promise. I can't dance. I'll dance. I promise you. And I promise you that I'm going to continue to work to bring you better and better and better guests every single week. And all I'm asking for you is to hit that subscribe button. Make sure that it's still there, because sometimes YouTube weirdly unsubscribes you as well. So that would be amazing. And on the subject of better, there is a really exciting series that I'm working on already for January 2027. And it's going to be called The Better Project. Now, I won't release any names yet, but I've been working hard behind the scenes and we're securing some really incredible top names from the world of golf. And the idea of the Better Project is that for the entire month of January, which is quite a quiet month in golf in general, and it's quite cold in this booth as well, so this was my idea, is that we're going to have 30 guests over 30 days, and each conversation is going to be around 30 minutes long. Now, very different to the way I normally do things on here, it's going to be a very structured conversation. I'm going to ask each guest the exact same questions, but they're all going to come from different sides, because they're all going to be experts in different parts of the game and even adjacent to golf as well. And I think it's going to be a really fascinating month to be able to learn every single day from these guests. And there's no pressure to tune in every single day, because that is always going to be there. That back catalogue of guests is always going to be there as part of the Better Project. And our plan is for that to be Better Project 2027. Bring it back for 2028 if it works out. And the idea behind it is that we can all get better together, and we can do so through the help of experts. So look forward to that. Let me know if you're excited about that as well. I'm excited about bringing it to you. And I'd also love to hear who you would like to have on the Better Project. I've secured many guests right now, but there's still room. We're going to have 30 guests, and even if they don't make this year, there's next year. So drop their, if it's somebody that you watch on YouTube that you'd like to see on it, tag them in it. On Instagram, send them a message and send them my way, because I'd love to hear more about it. But anyway, I hope you all have a really, really fantastic week. Thank you so much for listening every single week. And, it really does mean the world. And I'll see you all again next week.